What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon GO Battle League content. In today's video, we're back to team videos. Once again, we finally have a format that I feel like I can actually make a video on that isn't at a weird point in the season or the people are actually going to play. The Spring Cup has returned for the third time. Annually, it comes around, it seems. And in this cup, we are getting Grass, Water, and Fairy types under 1500 CP, so Great League format. And they've banned Jumpluff, Roserade, and Toxapex. I wish they would have left Roserade in here. It would have been so much fun to use. We need more things, by the way, that are going to deal with this wheezing. All right, this wheezing is a problem. 98 score. The next best thing is a 91. That is a very large difference. I know that the numbers may or may not make sense right off the bat, but basically, this is the overall score into the meta, and then the next best thing has a significantly less play into the meta. So wheezing basically beats almost everything. So we're going to see a lot of people coming out and trying to beat wheezing, I feel like, in the early meta. But basically, as we always do with these videos, we're going to jump in, pick out some Pokemon in the rankings that look like they're going to be good into this cup, generally speaking, that we can team build around, and then show off about 5 teams of those Pokemon. So getting into this first team here, or not even not the first team, I misspoke. Look at Wheezing. Look at him. Isn't it neat? Look at this Wheezing. This Wheezing's amazing. You give him a lick, he tastes just like raisins, and I'm not going to go any further. Sludge and Brutal Swing are really good coverage in general open meta, but Overheat allows it to hit all of those grass types, all of the couple of steel types, especially Ferrothorn that would otherwise be problematic for it. But Wheezing in general is just going to be so freaking strong into this cup. And by itself, it kind of invalidates a lot of the grass types. I feel like if they were going to ban anything, this should have been one of the things that got hit. But getting down further into the rankings here, Ferrothorn and Lapras and Tentacruel are going to make up the next best choices here as far as what's in the meta. And I think that Lapras and especially Ferrothorn are going to be very common. Basically, anything in this top 10 minus Klefki, you're probably going to see quite a bit of. And then afterwards, it'll be people trying to kind of pick apart the meta and try to beat Pokemon that are commonly brought. But I think that one of those Pokemon could definitely be Klefki or Mawile. Both are Steel Fairy types with the fast move of Astonish. Mawile is listed here with Fire Fang, but I think it'll be better off in general with Astonish, personally, after having used it once or twice. Amoonguss is also something that we've recently had, and I don't remember what cup it was a season or two ago, but it was a really good save switch. And it comes back in this cup as another very solid Pokemon to have anywhere on your team, especially as an answer to Ferrothorn. Just completely destroys in that matchup. Another Pokemon here that's on the rankings that I want to point out is Golisopod. Very good safe switch, very good lead, just very flexible Pokemon in general. And I think that the Decidueye, the grass ghost typings, Trevenant too, I think they might have some interesting play. And finally, I want to look at Togetic here as well. Having Psyshock, it allows it to be able to do the fairy things while also having a way to damage the Wheezing super effectively. So even if you lead one into a Wheezing, if you can, for example, get a farm down later in the game, you could have that extra energy you need to be able to beat up on that Wheezing. But that's at least going to be my top few, sort of picks. I also would really love to see somebody make Shadow Cacturn work. I don't think I have one that I can build even, but I would love to see somebody run that. So if anybody gets that, please send it. I'd love to showcase that in Shoutcast or something. But at least as far as teams go, we're going to get into the first team here, looking at basically what is the top 3 Pokemon on PvPoke's rankings. That's going to be Lapras, Ferrothorn, and Galarian Wheezing. You can play these in pretty much any order you want. I have it such that we have Lapras in the lead to be able to counter the poison types like Wheezing and Tentacruels that try to counter them. And then we have the Wheezing in the back as our flexible safe switch with a Ferrothorn to close up, as Ferrothorn is very strong and very consistent in this meta. You could even consider running Ferrothorn on Metal Claw if you want to. I'm not sure if it would be any good. I'm pretty sure last time I tried that, I don't know if it was this cup or a different one, but it was pretty awful. It's just not a good move yet. But in general, this meta, like the coverage into this meta is incredible. This team has some really strong options, and Lapras is just such a flexible lead that you could do really a lot of good things with this Pokemon. So I think that this team is going to be a very strong one, and it just could be in any order really if you wanted to. They're all very dominant in this format. So looking at again another team though, one that stood out to me here was the Jellicent Mawile core. You have a lot of things that are running around that Mawile can do well into. And then Jellicent is a very good cover for the Mawile. And I personally am running Astonish, as I said, on my Mawile. But you could run a Fire Fang, but I think that Shadow Astonish Mawile is just insanely good. And this team has a lot of strong potential into this meta. You can see the Mawile, by the way, just beats pretty much everything on this list. That's not some very specifically hard counter, which I don't know about y'all, but I'm probably not going to see a whole lot of Quillfish and Empoleons in the lead. Now, Weezing is going to be a loss for Mawile because of that overheat landing. Mawile in the mirror is running Fire Fang, but Lapras is pretty neutral still. It's just a matter of not having the ability to really just hit them with those Fire Fangs. The things that this team is going to lose to, at least on paper, I'm really not worried about. Hisuian Electrode is about as meta as it gets. Now, Greninja, though, if Greninja gets popular, that thing could potentially just absolutely 1v3 this team. So, yeah, no, just, you see one of those, do your best, but I don't expect to see a ton of those, at least at first. But there will probably be some to beat, like the Lapras and things later on. But we'll see. Let's take a look at another team here in the Spring Cup. Tentacruel, Ferro, Thorn Core. And look at that, they're hiding behind the image. Would you stop that? Come out here. Come. Why are you doing this? Why? My technology is there we go. Okay, we fixed it. We're good. All right. So basically, the Tentacruel Ferrothorn core has been one that has been there since the beginning of the format's inception a couple years ago. So it's just kind of always been the core, right? And so how do we beat it? Well, we're going to run the core and then just have Amoonguss in the back, because that's going to be able to get out anything that might, you know, give us an issue as Ferrothorn, right? Because if you have an opponent with a Galarian Weezing in the back, they're going to want to put it on the Amoonguss to be able to keep it off of the Tentacruel, or at least so that you can farm it down. But then hopefully by then you've also gotten rid of the one thing that beats Ferrothorn, right? All mind games. So this team in general, though, looks very strong. The Ferrothorn, Tentacruel core. And then Tentacruel is also, interestingly enough, running Sludge Wave Acid Spray. We're not even running Scald in this format, which is interesting. But this team also has pretty much perfect coverage on an overall team basis. Everything on this team beats something in this meta, which is really nice. You don't really have anything that, wow, this whole team gets beat by this Pokemon. That doesn't exist with this team, which is really nice. And that's why I think that it could be a really strong pick as well, because you still have enough damage to go around. It's a little awkward into Lapras, I will say. But everything else you have enough play into to make it work, I think. Team number 4 is going to be featuring yet another Lapras, because we just love Lapras, don't we? But Leavanny and Golisopod are going to be the backline of choice here. I think there's a few things that you could run this with. Doesn't have to be Lapras, but I felt like Lapras was probably going to be the most consistent option. But I wanted to run a team that set up Leavanny, because even though it doesn't have that bulk to really carry a game with, it can get very, very out of hand with X-Scissor and Leaf Blade, and with the pacing that it has. It also, I do believe, we can check that right now. Can we survive? Does Leavanny survive a move? No. Leavanny gets absolutely dogged on. How? Flash Cannon shields the Flash Cannon. I'm reading it backwards, chat. No. The Flash Cannon... I'm reading it backwards. I'm having a moment of stupidity in my old age. Okay? Leavanny destroys every ounce of Ferrothorn in everything except for the 0 to 1 or 2 shields. So as long as you keep even shields, Leavanny destroys Ferrothorn. The Flash Cannon only does 70%. The Bullet Seeds are literally doing 2 damage. Yeah, Leavanny is going to be very good as an answer to Ferrothorn, but also does pretty well in most neutral situations as well, because it has such quick and heavy-hitting moves. And Shadow Claw is just such a good move in general. Now, the reason why we're going to be using Leavanny, though, is because of that. It's going to be able to sweep games with good energy and shield management. And Golisopod's very neutral and able to kind of just play as a good safe switch in the format in general. And it's going to be running Aerial Ace and X-Scissor in this meta, because it doesn't have very many targets for Aqua Jet. Only things that we're super worried about here are Venusaur, Araquanid, and I guess Clefable and Dedenne, which, again, I don't really expect to see any one of those. So I think that this team could be good with setup and could be very strong. Obviously, as long as it doesn't get completely hard RPS or walled or something, I think Leavanny could be a very good sweeper in this cup. The final team is, we are looking at, once again, the Jelly Steel Core. But this time we're using Klefki. If you have one, you could use a Mawile in its place. They're both perfectly interchangeable. And then we're using Abomasnow because Abomasnow has just the same level of really interesting sweeping potential as you would see on the Leavanny. I think that it has the ability to just go in with heavy hitting damage because it's a very offensively weighted Pokemon and has that just good quick damage from Powder Snow and Weather Ball, and has the Nuke and Energy Ball to be able to hit those waters like the Jellicents and the Laprases. So this is another team that has only one thing that it can't beat something with this whole team, right? It's just going to be the Jellicent Mirror would be kind of awkward, but everything else on this team can apparently still have play into this whole meta. Now, I think this is going to be a team, personally, as usually my last teams are, that are going to be a little bit more of a let's some nice thunder while we're out, man. Nice scenic atmosphere. Hopefully that didn't blow anybody's eardrums out. It was beautiful though. This team is going to be able to have play into the meta, but I think it's going to be more aimed when the meta rolls a specific way. Like if you're seeing a lot of people relying on those double grass back lines, this could be a good one to go for. But anyway, let me know in the comments what you're going to be running in the Spring Cup. Looking forward to this meta. Looks like it could be an interesting one, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.